You are listening to Here Before, Here Now, an Arizona's Family Originals podcast.
Hey guys, Colton here with another episode of Here Before, Here Now. We are fast approaching Earth Day. It happens on April 22nd. And this year, something pretty special is happening. I'm excited to talk to the executive producer, the director, and the writer of this documentary that's going to be coming out, produced by Frontline, talking about some Alaskan Native villages that are seeing the effects of climate change. And we've brought this guest on before, Patty Talahongva. She used to work here at 3TV, Hopi journalist. And also we are speaking with Lauren Mucciolo. Hopefully I pronounced that correctly.
Yes, you sure did.
Yes, professor of practice at Arizona State University with the Howard School of Investigative, the Howard Center of Investigative Journalism.
That's right.
All right. Feel free to correct me anytime because sometimes I have a million things going on at once in my brain. But the documentary, Patty, thank you again for being back on the show. I saw on your timeline on Facebook your trailer. And I know when I had you on several months ago, you briefly talked about this project that you're working on, being pretty tight-lipped about. And now it's happening. I mean, you got this huge backing with Frontline, a short documentary that's going to appear on April 22nd on PBS stations, also the Frontline app. First off, tell me how you're feeling right now about seeing this finally come to fruition.
Wow, it has been a labor of intensity, a labor of love, and also just the feeling now is so happy to be able to share this story because it's not something that we hear about in the lower 48. People in Alaska know what's going on. People in the lower 48 don't, and they're just not on our radar screen. I have not seen reporting here in the lower 48 about what's happening to those villages. So I'm hopeful that we will shed some light on this issue and that we will share the story of these people in 3 villages that we visited and, something, affect some kind of change because they definitely are needing help in what they're facing when it comes to land erosion, sea level rising, the lack of ice forming, all of these issues that really compound the situation there.
Mm-hmm. How did you find out about this? Obviously, it's a huge issue up there. Not much reporting in the lower 48 about it. When I saw this, I even, think about it or at least consider that could be an issue, but it is.
Okay. Yes. And so in my reporting, 20 plus years ago, I was doing a radio broadcast. It's called Native America Calling. And we had guests on from the Arctic area, above the Arctic Circle, almost up by Utqiagvik. And I remember the elders from that area telling me that they had the right to be cold. And it really resonated with me because I thought, who says that? We have the right to be cold. Their culture depends on the cold. So that has stuck with me throughout the years. And so reporting that I've done throughout the years, I keep coming back to that. What's happening? What's going on? Because they knew way back then, and as our reporting showed, everybody knew, 20, 30 years ago that things were changing and not in a good way and very fast and they needed to address these issues. So when this opportunity came to work on a Frontline film, Frontline paired me up with Lauren and wonderful. We started working together on this. And I think one of the things that we've learned, too, is that not very many people go to Alaska. And so you've been to Alaska prior to our reporting, but no one really, you might go to the pretty areas like Sitka, southern Alaska, or Anchorage or Fairbanks, Juneau. But who goes to Chivak?
Yeah.
Who goes to Hooper Bay? And
well, they're not easy places to get to.
Not at all.
Right. So producer Lauren Mucciolo, professor of practice, tell me your experience in being paired with Patty and helping to tell the story. I can't wait to see it. I'm pretty excited for it to come out. But as a person who has the firsthand experience of doing the reporting and helping to put this together, what was that like for you?
Yeah, well, it's been, first of all, just an honor and a privilege to be able to be a part of this reporting. I've learned so much. I've known, a little bit about some of the threats of climate change. I know a little bit about Alaska. I had traveled there once because I have, dear friends who are from Alaska. But this has just been a learning experience for me in so many wonderful ways. And of course, Patty talks about her experience having done this reporting for some time. For me, it was very new. So of course, as I'm with the Howard Center for Investigative Journalism at the Cronkite School. So my investigative hat, immediately goes on, and I start looking for government reports saying, did anybody know about this? Did anybody know that this was happening in these villages? And as you continue to dig, you see actually they've known about this for a long time. They've been writing reports about this for a long time.
We have GAO reports talking about the changes and how things have to happen soon. And they go back to like
early 2000s. We have reports from the 90s and 80s from the state of Alaska.
Yes.
So this is not a new conversation.
Wow.
And they've made recommendations, but nothing happened. Nothing. The recommendations were closed because there was no action taken. So
and what were some of those recommendations back as far as the 90s?
Well, relocation, because, so finding new places to move to. And one of the things I think both of us really learned is that even though Alaska is huge, like if you placed it into the lower 48, it would swamp, it would just swallow up Texas. It would swallow up California. I mean, the whole Midwest. Alaska is huge, but the interior is so marshy. Lots of little ponds of water. You can't really find a lot of new land to move to, but they're going to have to, because I think we had we talked about 144 villages that need to move.
Wow.
And there's a whole list of villages, and out of the top 3, only one has actually moved, and it took them nearly 30 years.
My next question or follow-up is, what is the process like to relocate? How extensive is that? I mean, are we talking about, I don't know. What is the picture here?
Yeah, and really the journey for a lot of these villages, it doesn't necessarily even start with relocation. I mean, I think a lot of these villages recognize that that's where they will get to eventually. But in the beginning, a lot of it is just, how can I try to reduce some of the hazards that we're experiencing now? Because we know this will take time to pull off. So, in speaking to some of the advocates, government officials, tribal officials, we've learned that there's so much red tape, there's so much bureaucracy in this process. There's different pots of money available from different agencies, and it's really incumbent upon these communities to sort of figure out how to navigate this. There's not a lot of direction. There's no lead agency that says, here's the roadmap to follow and just go follow it. They're going from, here's a grant program that FEMA has or used to have at this point. Here's a, grant program from the Bureau of Indian Affairs. Here's a grant program through, another nonprofit organization. So they're constantly trying to piece together little bits of money, and the journey to go from climate, disaster recovery, trying to find ways to kind of adapt and in place. Maybe do some, projects to elevate an airport road, which is something they did.
That's
in Hooper
something
Bay.
yes, and that was an interesting a find that, as we reported in Hooper Bay, they raised the airport road significantly so that it would not flood, because these areas are either at sea level or a few feet above sea level, and the Bering Sea is right there. So they raised the airport road. The modeling that was done said, okay, this road will be protected for 50 years. And then Typhoon Merbok hit in 2022, and it flooded that whole road.
Oh, wow.
So, that's what they're up against. Typhoon Merbok did so much damage, and that was this storm that was unprecedented. But even when we went up to Kotzebue, which is right above the Arctic Circle, we walked on the seawall that they built to protect the village. But they didn't. It's half a mile long, and it cost I
think $34 million
to build.
Yeah,
and they didn't bring it down far enough south. And I don't know. We didn't get into the whole bit, but it does not protect the airport, the road, and the airport landing strip. So when Merbok hit, that whole area was flooded. Luckily, the water receded, but again, they were having issues. So it's just like, you're putting Band-Aids on all of these different issues. I can't imagine the stress that is with everybody who lives in those villages,
Right.
with what is going to happen when the next storm hits. So, it was amazing to travel up there. It was amazing to see how people really, truly live off the land, subsistence living, harvesting from the ocean, from the sea, and the land itself. And when they do that, they're basically buying their groceries for the next year.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I understand that. Yeah.
So when they pick the berries, the cloudberries,
Right.
the berries only ripen and are able to harvest once a year, and that's their year's supply. So the whole family, everybody. I mean, you're going to see in the documentary, whole families getting on these boats and going out to their favorite berry picking area, and they're going to fill up these 5-gallon buckets of berries, and they have to pick 5, 10 of them because that's got to last them the next year.
Wow.
And the same thing with whatever they're hunting, on land, the moose or the different seals and walrus. I mean, and we ate seal, we ate whale while we were there.
Sure. When in Rome, right?
When in Rome.
So when it comes to the over 100 communities are impacted and up for, potential relocation, obviously when it comes to Native people, indigenous people, their ties to the land is something that's very important, sacred traditional ceremonies or, things of that nature. What's the feel of these communities having to leave these lands? Is that something that they're trying to also?
I'm glad you brought that up, Colton, because we focused primarily on Hooper Bay.
Okay.
And Hooper Bay is on the land of the traditional village of Hooper Bay. But you're going to see in the film that people from Piemute were forced to move to Hooper Bay because the government built a school in Hooper Bay. And they required the people move here because now your kids have to go to school. Sound familiar?
Mm-hmm.
So because Alaska is so remote and it was easier to move whole families rather than just sending the kids to boarding school, they required the whole family. So in the village of Piemute, they got split. Some people went to Scammon Bay, some people went to Chivak, some people went to Hooper Bay. And now Hooper Bay is in danger of being flooded. So now the people from Piemute, those families, are going to try to return to Piemute. So it's this crazy, we got relocated once before, and now we have to relocate again because of a different reason. So the tie to their land is in that whole entire area. They've already in the film you'll see we came across amazing footage from Walt Disney Studios, and they actually went to Hooper Bay in the late 40s, early 50s, and they did a little film about the people there. And one of the people in the film is the mother of a woman that we're interviewing. So it showed the cultural connection they had at that time, but even that's gone.
Wow. That's it sounds fascinating. I can't wait to see it. On the reporting standpoint, so looking up for records and things, how difficult has that been and challenging to request these, especially if you're dealing with, federal Indian tribes?
Yeah. I mean, the truth is that the federal government has obviously a lot of responsibility in these communities, and so government reports from the BIA, the Denali Commission, which is an independent federal agency in Alaska,
GAO,
the Government Accountability Office, NOAA. So there are a lot of reports that documented this problem, and even like the BIA report or the NOAA report, one of them even recognized the sort of history of relocation and how that's also tied into what these communities are experiencing. So in terms of that kind of documentation and finding records and documents, a lot of what we relied on were documents from these government agencies, these government audits.
We have fact-checked. In journalism, they say if your mother loves you, check it, right?
Sure.
It's double that in this project.
Absolutely.
We've got our script, and our script is, 20 pages or so. Our fact-checking script is about 50. So all the notations of all the government reports, everything. And so I'm joking we should have our PhD after this because
Yeah.
It feels like that.
Sure. When you present these recommendations to the community members that they knew something was, wrong decades ago.
Yes, they knew.
And that there was an oversight from the federal government looking at this. What's their opinion? What's their thought? Are they outraged that something wasn't done sooner?
You would think they would be more outraged, but they do know that their ancestors told them, be prepared for a change. This change is coming. And yet, when change happens, no, I don't think any of us are prepared. Like, this is what they were talking about. And here we are. So they're at a point where they're really looking to their children now and their grandchildren. And I even asked the high school students I talked to, and it didn't make the film, but I asked them, pretend you're 50 years down the road. Where are you going to be living? And they said, not here. And the saddest part was one guy said, probably Anchorage. And why is that sad? Because that now displaces him. And that connection to the ocean and all the foods that can only be, harvested on their own. You can't walk into a grocery store and buy the foods that they typically eat. And there's a line in the film, I love it. The kids tell me the stores here are full of junk. And we don't like junk. And that's a teenager who's willing to go out and hunt for their family, to harvest for their family, and to eat those good, healthy foods.
Yeah, living off the land.
They know it.
It's amazing.
They know it. And so what will that be
they
like?
love it. They
Yeah.
love it. I mean, the way they
Yes.
describe their food to us, you could just see how in love with their food they truly are. It's not just like, we're here, this is what we have to do. They're truly, it's meaningful to them.
Yes.
Well, we know because of climate change and that areas like this are becoming vastly more impacted by weather events and things of that nature. After people watch this documentary, what is the call to action here in terms of how do we help solve these problems?
I think awareness, and that's what we want to bring about, because some of the scientists we interviewed, and again, not everything got into the film, but they all said, we're looking at Alaska. Alaska is warming 4 times faster than the rest of the world, but it's hitting LA, it's hitting Louisiana, New Orleans, Miami. It's here already. We're just not paying attention to it. We interviewed a tribal chairman from Washington State, and the tribal land is getting eroded into the ocean, and they're trying to move to this side of the mountain, also their tribal land, but he's running into all kinds of issues. So what would you say is the takeaway?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of takeaways. I mean, what I found so interesting, especially through this editing process, when we started this film, there was a very different kind of political climate going on than what there is today as the film is coming out. And so I think it's really hard for it to not to have a takeaway in the context of this political moment. And, for me, it's thinking about how dire straits these communities were in last year. Now we have so many cuts to federal funding programs that they, could only were just, connecting these little pots of money together. That wasn't enough, but it was something. And now a lot of that is going away.
Especially the FEMA money.
Especially the FEMA money. FEMA has been a big, we heard from some of the tribal leaders that we spoke to, they rely a lot on FEMA funding. And they have been working towards some of these very complicated FEMA grants that take years to put together because of the requirements that go into them. And now we're going to see this complete, just like tidal wave change of how these communities will be able to find funding, find support to be able to protect themselves. I think there's a lot of uncertainty right now.
Yeah. Wow. All right. So this drops on April 22nd.
Earth Day.
Yeah, Earth Day. Excited about it, nervous about it, pulling your hair out over all of the things.
All of the above.
Yeah. Okay.
All of the above. It's I'm excited for the air date, and I have to thank the people again from Chivac, Hooper Bay, and Kotzebue for allowing us to tell their story.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much, Patty. Always great to have you on. Good seeing you again.
Thank you.
And Professor Mucciolo, thank you so much for being
Thank
here
you.
as well.
Thank you, Colton.
All right. So make sure you check it out. April 22nd is when this documentary drops, Frontline. So make sure you find it. If you have any questions or if you want to suggest a guest or any other topic, drop me a line, colton.shone@azfamily.com. Until next time, see you then.
You are listening to Here Before, Here Now, an Arizona's Family Originals podcast.